Hey everyone, it's Ben. Hope everyone's doing well. Subject I'm going to focus on for this video is remakes, reboots, whatever you call them. Kind of a hot topic for us in the horror community because it seems like the horror industry is, or the horror film genre, is getting the most attention when it comes to remaking or rebooting classic series, films, characters, what have you. For this video, I'm going to focus on ones that I really like. So nothing negative in this one. Then I will come back and do a follow-up video focusing on ones that I completely hate or am indifferent to. And I will also talk about, what I think of with regards to some of these remakes being made that are on, they're forecasted out. Some of these ones that are coming up in the next couple of years. To start out, what I'm going to talk about is my favorite out of and this isn't really a remake, I don't consider it a remake, but it doesn't fit in the other film series, so it's a reboot, and it's Friday the 13th that Platinum Dunes put out in 2009. Now, when I first heard this, I was not happy, because I didn't know what they were going to do to Jason, didn't know if they were going to change him up, change the mask, whatever. Platinum Dunes got so much right with this film, and I think credit must be given to Damien Shannon and Mark Swift. I know a lot of people don't like them. They were the screenwriters behind Freddy vs. Jason. Some people aren't fans of that. I am. And again, all this is my opinion, so you guys can comment below, tell me what you think. But I think the Friday reboot was awesome. And the reason why is because it took the elements that we wanted in a Friday the 13th film. Gave us lots of gore, gave us nudity, gave us a kick-ass Jason. Derek Mears, awesome. I think he's the best Jason since C.J. Graham and Ted White from part 6 and 4 of the original series. And was just a kick-ass movie. Yeah, the score could have been better. There could have been, Harry Manfredini's score is just the best, and you can't replace that. And I thought that was the only thing that was kind of lacking. But everything else was just great. The action was great. There was actual story in it. Say what you will about the acting. I thought the acting was great. People act like, the acting in the originals was, Shakespearean. It's not. Go back and watch them. I think the acting in the reboot was great. And I just hope they make another one because, and I think it's Warner Brothers is stupid if they don't. But the Friday reboot is my absolute favorite. I have nothing with the exception of the music, and it still doesn't really bother me. I just miss Manfredini's score. But other than that, it's perfect for me. Love it 100%. And I own not only the Blu-ray killer cut, but the DVD killer cut. And I have 2 copies of this one. So the next one I'm going to focus on is one that I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for, or hateful comments. And that's the Halloween one that Rob Zombie put out in 2007. And I'm going to talk about the sequel. Now, with the Halloween one, a lot of people do not like this film, and I think it's because it took the mystique away from Michael Myers. He wasn't the quiet, silent killer in the corner or watching you and then striking. He was more, he came from a very abusive family, an abusive stepfather, and he had lots of issues growing up. But I think that shows creativity, that Rob Zombie took something that we hadn't seen in the other films and made something out of it. Showed us Michael Myers as a child. Did it help us identify with them a little bit more? It did me. I mean, do I prefer the original film to this one? Of course I do. But do I hate this film? No. I think it's very well done. I think where Rob Zombie had a hard time was when he had to sort of focus on the story that was kind of, incorporating elements from the original film, where you see the, Laurie sees him outside the school and things like that. That was a little hard to say, okay, is that any more effective than the original? I mean, of course it isn't. But then again, he gave us a different overall tone in film, much darker film than the original. And, he did a good job at, making the story his own, with the exception of having to put in a few elements from Carpenter's original. So you got to give him credit for that. He made Michael Myers scary as hell. I do think Tyler Mane was a scary Michael Myers and did a great job of bringing that sense of you know, eeriness, and you know, you don't know what he's going to do. And he also made him a little more human than the other films. Yeah, I mean, I like the Michael Myers from the original. I mean, the first two Halloweens are the best. Nothing's going to ever top them, but I like this remake. And again, I think it's because Rob Zombie brought something new to it. The second one I like more than the remake, because this was a Rob Zombie film. This was his own creation. A lot of people don't like the white horse and the fact that Deborah Myers was back in it, even though she died in the first one. Hope I'm not spoiling it for people who haven't seen it. But, you know, the whole thing is that it explains at the beginning of the film what the white horse represents. And you're seeing everything in Halloween 2 mostly through Michael's eyes, and that's something that they hadn't done before. And again, you know, Dr. Loomis was different in this one, but I like that. I don't want to see a Donald Pleasance copycat. I want to see something different, and the fact that Malcolm McDowell had never seen the original Halloween, he did his own interpretation of Loomis, obviously, you know, working off of Rob Zombie's script, but again, it was his own interpretation. And I like that. Even though Loomis was a complete dick in Halloween 2, it worked. You know, it worked for me. I like that Brackett, played by the awesome Brad Dourif, actually became the Loomis figure of the originals, but in a different way. You know, I think I identified more with Brackett, you know, trying to protect the girls than Loomis, because Loomis was just out for himself in the second film. And again, Tyler Mane did a great job. And it was much more realistic than Halloween H20, which was supposed to be a direct sequel to Halloween 2, and you're like, well, where's Michael been? And he's got clean coveralls and a clean mask. And this one, he's jacked up looking. He looks like he's been living off the land for 2 years, which is actually, so the unrated cut, it was 2-year gap, and the theatrical cut, it was a 1-year gap, but he looks like he's pretty messed up. He's been living off the land for a while, and I thought that was great, that he had a beard, that he looked rough. I mean, that was great. So give it big props for this one from me. The next ones are the Chainsaw remakes. Now, I like, well, Chainsaw 1 obviously set the standard for the remake, because there really wasn't a lot of remakes prior to this. And I thought this was great. I wasn't a huge fan of the original Chainsaw Massacre. Purists, don't hate me for that. I saw this, my buddies took me, it was my bachelor party kind of thing, and I wanted to go to the movies too, and they took me to see this, and this movie scared the shit out of me. And I thought it was a great movie, and it actually made me go back and rewatch the original, and I am now a huge fan of the original, and I respect it a lot more because I've seen this one. And again, you know, people shit on Platinum Dunes, but Platinum Dunes took an iconic, you know, figure like Leatherface and the story, and they redid it. They redid a lot of things. They didn't just make a carbon copy of the first one, because you couldn't. You know, the hitchhiker scene is very different. The family is different. Leatherface is different. They did a really good job on this, and they made it scary, and I love the fact that they kept it in the 70s. You know, they didn't try to put it in, you know, the 2000s with people with cell phones and things like that. They kept it in the 70s, which is great. And I think the beginning is even better than the original. And this one is scary as hell. It's gory, it's gruesome, it's got that element of the original series. So, you know, these are great films to me. I love them. I think my battery's going to die, so this is probably going to have to be a two-parter. So I will come back and we'll start off with Dawn of the Dead.